Good evening. It's 7 o'clock and we're going to get started. Welcome, Brendan. Great to see you. And second time today. I've got to do this. It's just amazing how proud we are of our team and what the team has actually done and achieved, during the lockdown. And I'm actually going to start with just recognizing a couple of people within the business, within our team, that really excelled in the month of March. And I know that these guys are also, putting all the time and effort into it. So, okay, the Achievers Quest. Johan de Klerk, Bertus de Klerk. I think that de Klerk is busy with a takeover here, but it's not a hostile takeover. Johan with the 5,000 check, Bertus with the 1,000, Altus 1,000, Sindiso 1,000, and Point Pinar 1,000. Well done, guys. It's really that's awesome stuff. And then looking at First Point growth, it's just one of those where Philip sitting on number 2. Sindiso on number 4, Mark Swart number 5, Francisca Geiser number 7, Segamotso number 10, and then the rest are all the way down. So those are all the First Point growth, and then the rank ups. Philip Gendel, well done, Boykie. Good to see you there, ranking up. The Wet van Niekerk, etc., right down to Pine. Those are all the people that have ranked up for the month. Guys, we're really proud of you, and we are so chuffed to be associated with you. Okay, so our talk for tonight is, remember when we started the whole Zoom initiative, we said we're going to have a look at those basic building blocks that goes into building a successful channel. And one of the things that you need to master, because I firmly believe this is the key to a successful network, is where you need to be able to do an effective approach. Now, the approach is purely for you to get the appointment, for you to get the opportunity to share the business with people. That is the only reason why you do an approach. It's not to present the business. It's not to give them information. It's purely to get them curious enough so that they are prepared to give you the time of day so that you can actually share the business with them. And we find this is where the majority of people actually lose it, is that they think that the approach is like a mini presentation. They think the approach is, training. That is not the purpose of the approach. The approach is purely to get their permission so that you can actually share the business with them. Now, keep in mind, when you do, or when you plan to do the approach, when you plan, I just want somebody sneezing and wheezing, and guys, please just mute your microphones. Mute your microphones, please. Okay. Things to keep in mind that's going to give you that confidence when you do the approach that you're not going to bomb out. Okay, first of all, is you don't have to be perfect, and I think Dani will actually appreciate this when I use him as an example. When you look at Dani and you look at his presentation, he jokes about his English, and he uses Afrikaans words during the presentation, but he's effective. And I worked for a manager that said, be less effective or more efficient. So don't go and say, I've got to do the perfect thing, because then you're never going to start. So just keep it in mind. You don't need to be perfect. Second thing is, don't think too much. If you look at your normal thought pattern, there are more negative thoughts than positive thoughts in the average day. So the longer you think about it, the more you're going to think about negative things, and the more you're going to be influenced not to do the approach, not to go out there and actually share or invite people to have a look at the business. Tap into their curiosity. I'm a sucker for that. I mean, if I'm on the internet and a little banner comes up that says tour Europe for $5 a day, I'm onto it. I mean, I'm curious, how can people do that on $5? And usually it's just like it's just to get you curious so that they lead you to other information. So tap into people's curiosity. Associate with what they are, what they're going through, what they say, what they feel, You know, it's easy if people say, I'm scared, you go like, oh, don't be scared, just do something about it, etc. Uh, and where you go, I know how you feel. I mean, I'm also scared, but what I've decided, I can sit and be scared, or alternatively, I can actually do something. So associate with their pains, associate with their concerns, the things that are bugging them and that are worrying them, and always do the right thing. You know, what I don't like is where people said, I approached this guy and, you know, for the business, and he said this and I said that. And eventually I told him, okay, you know, take a hike. Um, uh, if you fight with people and like 6 months down the line, a year down the line, they change their attitude, they change their mindset, and they come back and they say, okay, I'm going to have a look at this business. And you you actually fought with them, and guess what? They gone. They're not going to come back to you. They will go back to somebody else. So just always do the right thing. And that is the reason why so many people come back to the business, sign up again after they attempted it, and they decided they're going to leave and actually come back. You've seen the stats that Brendan actually quoted. Okay, and then just lastly is be natural. The worst thing is if you're talking to a friend and you sound like something from a comic book. Be natural, be yourself, and make it like a conversation, not like this is it and I want to approach you for the business. Be natural, be professional, and guys, if you post something, check your spelling. I know if you post in Afrikaans, there's no spell checker on Facebook. I doubt whether there's one. I haven't seen one yet. But make sure that you spell correctly. I mean, you know, if they spell the F word with a V, I really want to climb the walls. It's just one of those things where, I mean, spelling, if you know that you're bad with spelling, then you marry Marsha, because that's what I do. I just pass everything to Marsha and she makes 100% sure that it's spelled correct. Okay, so those are just a couple of general things. Now we're going to tonight get into the nitty-gritty of doing a good approach. So getting people to give you the time of day so that they can actually watch the what the business is all about. There are a couple of no-no words, and when I say no-no words, I'm going to qualify this. If you're speaking to a person directly, you have the opportunity to correct perceptions. You have an opportunity to change things that was taken the wrong way. But when you put it in writing out there, you need to know that people will basically just read what they see and they will link it to their own perception. Very important. And based on that, they will make a decision whether it's worthwhile looking at what you have to offer. One is policy. You'll go out there and find people that want to take policies, etc., etc. It's not a good approach, okay? And people don't really appreciate that, and I find very little people actually respond to that kind of approach. Talk about recruiting or getting people, because that usually get people to talk about the pyramid. Because if you talk about recruiting, yeah, you only get paid for recruiting, which is not. But remember, it's a written word, so what's out there, people will actually take that literally. Okay, then network marketing, MLM. Uh, if you ask people today, each and every person has an opinion about network marketing. But if you ask them, have you ever been in network marketing? What is your experience with network marketing or MLM? Then they go like, no, I avoided that because my dad lost all his money and he bought all the soap, etc. So if you put an approach out there, remember what I'm saying. If you're talking directly to a person, it's a different story. But if you put it out there, you need to rather avoid these kind of words. Okay, next one is meetings. We have regular meetings, etc. People, Brendan, that's your favorite. South Africans just don't have time. So they think, okay, meetings. Now I'm in Kempton Park and I've got to drive all the way to Bryanston, etc., etc. So yeah, rather avoid that. And then don't talk about schemes. I've got a money-making scheme. It just sounds sleazy. It sounds like something that not supposed to be out there, something illegal. And then the last one, again, is viewpoint. Now, what we currently find on Facebook, a lot of people are being attacked. Viewpoint people that place their ads and they say, are you ashamed of what it is that you're doing? And I had Mark that came back to me and said, well, don't you think it's time that we put the viewpoint name out there? Yes, you can do that. But the unfortunate thing is that Facebook is inundated with viewpoint. And when I say inundated, is that everybody has an opinion on viewpoint. And again, going back to the network marketing and MLM, they have no personal experience, but they have an opinion. So I want the opportunity when I do an approach is to sit a person in front of me. When I say in front of me on the internet currently, to get that person where I have a clean sheet. They don't have any preconceived ideas. When I sit them down, I can start with the basics and then work through to what the business is all about. Okay, now when with the whole approach and what we're going to do here, is this is going to be a bit of a team thing. Marsha's going to contribute, Don is going to contribute. You know, a lot of people will rather do something to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. That is just a normal human thing. It's that fight or flight kind of syndrome. Now, addressing their pain, you know, if you say to people, have you ever considered, you know, this, that, and the other? What would happen if that happens? And Brendan, when you said how fast life changed in the last 4 months since somewhere in December, I mean, this is not the life that I ever envisaged that I would have in 2020, being stuck in my house and having a Z4 in the garage that I can't drive, all those kind of things. So this is not really what I envisaged. So a lot of things change. And so if you're looking at pain, a lot of people will do a lot more to avoid pain than to actually gain pleasure. I'm going to talk about kids' education. And this is something that actually popped up in our own family, where, I don't know, where people think I think it's that same syndrome that usually people have towards pension. It's not something that's going to happen. It's something in the future. I don't need to worry about it now. And then all of a sudden, the kids are finished with school and they find out that I haven't really provided for them for tertiary education. And education is so important today. Guys, you cannot do without education. We work with schools, we work with parents, we work with learners. Education is utmost important. A lot of people can say, oh, but there's like opportunities like viewpoint. Yes, there is. But you know, it's that old adage that what is your backstop? What is if something goes wrong, if this or that happens, what would you have to actually fall back on? So kids' education, and it's such a nice opener. If you see people with kids, or if you on Facebook, they love putting their kids all over Facebook, etc. And you go back to them and you say, well, wow, that's a beautiful family that you have there. I just think, how do you provide for them for tertiary education? What plans do you have in place? And start a conversation. Remember what we had started off right at the beginning. It says, you know, the conversation is about questions. That is how you keep a conversation interesting, is ask them questions about themselves. They will give you the information and they will come back and say, yeah, I started a education policy 12 years ago, but now I found out that it won't even cover one of my kids. Yet at the time they said that it would be sufficient. That is the opener that you want. That is what you're looking for. Remember, don't just go in there like a bull in a china shop. Go in there and start a conversation. They will tell you why you should be approaching them. They will tell you why you should be sharing the business with them. Kids education, this is a good one for parents as well as grandparents. Okay, grandparents take just as much pride in their grandkids as the parents. So yeah, this is a nice one for parents. Emergency fund. This is one that actually popped up in our family now with the lockdown. The discussion started and said, how many of you have an emergency fund? Now, usually when you speak to financial advisors, they will tell you that an emergency fund should be able to carry you for 3 to 6 months. That means that if you're earning 50,000 Rand a month, normal conditions, you should have an emergency fund of at least 150,000. That means that should something happen to your income, you can survive for 3 months. It gives you a 3 month breather whereby you can go out and find alternative employment. So emergency fund. And now when you talk to people about COVID, etc., I don't know what's happening here. I'm running out of time. Okay. Okay, guys, we're going to go as fast as we can, and then we are going to carry on in the second meeting. Emergency fund. Yeah, just ask people, what would happen if you lose your income? Do you have an emergency fund? Medical aid, again, today, you don't want to end up in a normal hospital, a provincial hospital. You want a medical aid. I mean, ending up in a provincial hospital is like a death sentence. Retirement, yeah, retirement is just one of those where, look at the stats, 97% of people didn't really properly plan for retirement. Okay, their career challenges, and I always say that if you want to find out what their pains is, ask them. Ask a broker, why is it that the brokers decreased from, I don't know how many thousand to something like 4,000? Why is it? And they will tell you it's about all the exams and all the problems, etc. So if you ask a broker, you will find out why you should be contacting brokers, why you should be approaching brokers for the business. Okay, I'm going to cut it short because of the time. I'm going to hand over to Marsha. So I'm going to unmute Marsha. Okay, and over to Marsha.
Hi, Rudolph, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, super. What I wanted to say is that WhatsApp voice notes are your friend, and Philip always said that WhatsApp voice notes are your biggest friend. If I approach somebody, I would send a voice note together with a new 10-minute video clip. If it's somebody you know, just keep it chatty. For example, we had our 40-year school reunion a while ago, and all my school friends are now 60 plus, which means they're now on retirement age. So everybody is experiencing retirement fears. Why? Because their retirement funds are at risk. You know how volatile the rand-dollar exchange rate is. The government is eyeing the pension funds. The markets crashed with the onslaught of COVID. So their pension income is at huge risk. So I would send them a WhatsApp voice note, something like this. And I'm going to do it in Afrikaans because obviously my reunion buddies are all in Afrikaans. And I would send a voice note something like, "Hi almal, Marsha hier, scary, crazy tye waarin ons nou beleef. Wie sou Desember maand kon dink dat 'n pandemie die wêreld gaan tref? En almal van ons wat nou op aftrede staan, besef skielik dat ons beplanning vir ons aftrede met een slag uitgewis kan word deur dinge buite ons beheer. En daarom is 'n plan B so belangrik. Ek het 'n deeltydse besigheid begin as 'n entrepreneur wat vir my 'n rol of addisionele maandelikse inkomste genereer van meer as 40,000 per maand. Al wat jy benodig is data, internet, slimfoon of rekenaar, en iets wat jy vanaf die huis kan doen. Ons het mos nou almal baie tyd op hande. Kyk jy onderstaande 10 minute video en ek skakel jou môre. Wees proaktief, jy het niks om te verloor om die video te kyk nie, of werk tot jy die dag jou kop neerlê. So you'll see that is something that I will address and personalize it for the prospect that I'm sending it to. Remember, if you cannot use the 40,000 Rand per month because you're not there yet, then you can say something like, I've started a part-time income which can help you generate an extra 5 or 10,000, and that is from month 1 and it's unlimited. Okay, over to Dani.
Okay, Dankie, we're going to unmute you now. Okay, Dani.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yes, Dani, you there?
There you guys. Warm welcome, guys. Hello from my side as well. Yes, I like to address their fear. Loss of income is one of my favorites because for the simple fact that that's something that's hitting South Africa very hard currently. Unemployment is one of the biggest problems before we entered in COVID. And it was slowly increasing, and we don't know how the next 3-4 months is going to go, but the future with the downgrade doesn't look good. So I always, in my approach, I offer people income and say, listen, would an extra few thousand a month help you? Why? I started something on the side, me and my wife, and it's actually, we need to extend. We give training for a large life insurance company on a personal basis on an app. And I says, what app? I said, well, let's coffee or Zoom and I'll show you the app. Pension provision is a good one in the sense of, you know, that there's lots of been scary news about what is happening with pensions now. You hear of pensions being used for state institutions or bailing out and stuff like this. There's lots of money lying there in a pool in a country which is not that healthy. And whether they take it or not is besides the point. the reality is if you can have a residual income, you have at least a certainty. And sell that concept. Most South Africans is, if I talk about debt, is only 1 or 2 months away from total bankruptcy. If I Google the stats, they reckon up to 60% of South Africa could be under debt review. That's before we got into that mess. That means in a group like tonight, if there's 50 people, that means nearly half of us can't afford to pay our cars and houses. If that is true, people do not have enough insurance, and it means you can actually lose your car and your house by just skipping one or a few payments, and once you're behind, and people are scared of that. Get into the conversation, says, talk to a guy and say, listen, is there any risk that you can lose your property or your car? Is there any risk that you can actually lose your income? Do you guys save enough? Because that's a concern for us. And do you have the same concern? Job security, there's no such thing anymore. I think a job, everybody knows what job stands for, is the journey of the broke. Because it gives you temporary relief. I always joke to guys and say, it's the make-believe scheme. You make as if you work, and the boss make as if he pays you. And there you go, the whole of your life. And normally that get people and say, talk about job security. Guys, COVID, if you look, the deaths are up today. They reckon, there's going to be weird and wonderful things that's going to happen in our lifetime. Guys, it's really something to consider. If you don't take these 5 points seriously, you've got sand in your head. And that's what we should talk about. And just talk about it. Talk about your own fears and said, I found something that might help us. And then the guy says, what have you found? And Skinner, gossip, talk just through it. Don't be weird. All the top guys, I know them, they're very good at Skinner and Kuier. They virtually Kuier with people. And I couldn't find a lack of English word for it, gossip, or, but that's what people do. If you want to get good in this business, start Kuiering. Chat about things, read about things, and just start it in a conversation and say, luckily I came across something, and would you take offense? I would like to get your opinion about what I'm busy with. And if it's just a Kuier, a guy will allow you to tell him. And then very important, remember to follow up. Most people do the approach and then they leave the guy. If you didn't watch the video, follow him up. That's from my side, Rolf, in a nutshell.
Appreciate it, Donnie. Brendan, again, we've got 2 minutes. Over to you.
One of the things that I've just been harping on with wealth engineers this week, and this is my 5th Zoom session just today, is, guys, that this is actually an opportunity to bring some light into the darkness. Right now, all we're hearing is darkness. And it is, I agree, we talk into the pain of people because people would rather get over their pain. But we are in this wonderfully unique position right now where we can go to the South African economy and say, guys, we can not only fix the problem that you're in, but you can have fun and joy through the process. As you know, we reward you the whole way. So you have this recurring opportunity every month to be rewarded. We'll have put up a few names of just the people in this channel that were rewarded. I mean, the top 10 people proved to us this month that you can put a person in every single day. That's the top 10 people. So it's not like one guy somehow. There's 10 people putting in one person a day on average. And we're able to reward so many people. You get to go out there and be part of that. Firstly, you get to enjoy the rewards. And secondly, you get to go to someone and say, I can change all this darkness into light and joy for you. Let me show you the journey we'll take you on to wealth. How much joy, reward, recognition you'll have along the way. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful tool that we've got here, not only to solve the economic problems of South Africa, but to really bring some light back into people's lives again. We'll be proud of who we are as South Africans, excited to be here again.
Going to end off because we want to make one recording, including all the information on the approach. And we chatted Marsha myself during the break, and just to put the approach in perspective, where does it fit into the whole scheme of things? Very, very simple. The approach is, for example, that would be like the ad that you place on Facebook. That would be the WhatsApp that you send to somebody saying, would you be interested in a second income? That would be the phone call that you make to say, hi, you popped into my mind. I was busy doing my own retirement planning, and I thought of you. We've been friends for so many years, and yeah, you just popped into my head, and I thought I need to talk to you. What does your retirement planning look like? Are you looking for something to actually supplement your retirement? That is the approach. It's not where you send the video to somebody. I mean, it's like sending somebody a gift that they do not want, and like sending Donnie a hairbrush. Sorry, Donnie. So you first need their permission before you send them videos and stuff like that. That's where people say, but you guys are now spamming me, and I'm not interested, but I get all these videos, etc. Please don't do that. You first need people's permission before you can actually send them information. Okay, with that said, we're just going to close off what we started off in the previous session. And these are things that you should never, ever do. It's an unwritten rule. And I'm just going to quickly run through it. Okay, the first one is never beg or plead with people to actually sign up in your business. We've heard this, and I mean, if you really want to feel your skin crawl, that's, I've started this business. Nobody wants to join my business, but won't you please be the first one to join my business? I mean, nobody. You're proposing a partnership with, and you're coming across as a loser. So that is something that you never, ever do. You go out there with confidence. They do not know how many people you've spoken to, and they don't need to know because it's not their business. What their business is to evaluate the information that you're going to give them, and that is the only thing that they need to know. For the rest of it, yeah, absolutely, it's nobody's business. Okay, complain. This is something that we find with live presentations, and we're also now finding it on Facebook, is where people say, I found that this doesn't work for me. People, when they evaluate the business, they're looking for cracks. They're looking for something that's not really working well, because they want to prove themselves right, the reason why they shouldn't be part of the business. And so if that is the way that you're going to go, you're going to create doubt with people before they even had the opportunity to evaluate the business properly. So you never complain. If you've got a problem, you speak to your upline. If your upline or your lead wealth engineer can't help you, you speak to the office, you speak to Brendan, but you find somebody that can actually help and assist you, because they are equipped. They've been there longer, they are stronger, they have more information, they have more experience. Those are the people that you actually, when you have a concern, etc., you talk to them. Okay, then never speak negative about the business. Sometimes it's said in a joke, but yeah, it can do more damage than you ever realize. And I'm trying, but nobody's joining. How many times have you heard that? Guys, just keep on doing it. I had a discussion the other day where I said to people, we've been in the business for 4 years, and we've got years and years of network marketing experience. And yet, we still have the same problems that a brand new person that starts up today. We've got the same challenges. They think it gets easier as you go along. Yes, you gain more information. Yes, you gain more experience, but it's still the same issue that you had when you started off. It's still the same perceptions that people have. It's still all those same things. So yeah, please don't think it's going to get any easier. You just need to go out there and keep on doing it. And yeah, please don't talk about I'm doing this thing. Donnie's got a really nice story about this thing. But yeah, that is treat it like a business. Treat it with respect. When you speak about it, speak with respect about your business, a business that you're proud of. You're not in a thing, you're in a business. So yeah, guys, please, it's these little things that can make it so much better or so much worse if you're not doing it. What we would like to do with the second session, and it's something that we started the first one, is Just before we move off that is, you know, there's a saying out there that knowledge is power. But that is one of the biggest lies. The other one is the check is in the mail. So, yeah, guys, please do not believe that knowledge is power, because the simple reason is that knowledge is knowing a concept is only potential value. And the best way to describe it is, my house is wired. All our houses are wired for electricity. If it's not connected to anything, your house has potential energy, potential electrical energy, but you need to connect it to something to actually to utilize that power. If you don't connect it to anything, it's just potential value.